everybody, welcome. This is Daniel G. Garza, and this is Put It Together Conversations. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. Thank you for joining us. It's again Saturday, November 7th, 2020, and it is 12 o'clock. So, for those of you that have been following, we have been doing two shows a week. I'm going to ask for an apology first. I'm going to apologize first because I just got a new camera and I still can't figure out where I'm supposed to look to make it look right. So, if I'm lost, I am. I am a little lost because I'm trying to figure out where the camera goes. But hopefully Courtney's going to help me out when I don't look in the right direction. For those of you, I want to thank, first of all, my director, Mr. Christian Paul Ramirez. I want to thank my producers, Mr. Kevin Moyers and Mr. Jose Reyes, for their help and support. And my agent over at RPM, Jennifer Sims. Thank you, everybody, for your help. My guest today is, hold on a second, let me find her bio. She just sent it to me, and now I knew this was going to happen. As soon as we got on the air, I was like, where is your bio? Courtney, how are you doing, sweetie?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm killing time pretending that I know what I'm doing while I find your bio. Here we go. Courtney Frazer started Sea Heart Designs making T-shirts, which led to magnets, ornaments, and necklaces as well. Right here. She also is a PetPro with Pawtree and has a blog and YouTube channel, SMA Invisible Life, where she focuses on fitness and muscle disease. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Then welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. As usual, I want to start telling people how we connected. You folks have heard me talk about it because I've had a couple of other guests on the show. Susan Shepard and Fran Jesse were both on the show, and I met them all through Sue Brooks' mastermind group. So Courtney was a guest. Courtney is part of the mastermind group, and that's how we connected. And then she was wanting to launch her YouTube page, and that's where we met. And now she's on the show. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
How did you come upon the mastermind group?
So I've known Sue for a couple of years now, and we recently reconnected, and she's been telling me about the mastermind since it started. And then I happened to have a Friday off my day job finally, so I was able to join.
Nice. For those of you, if you've never been part of a mastermind, it's basically a group of people with a common interest. In this case, we're all business owners, entrepreneurs, trying to launch ourselves. And there are some people there who have already succeeded in many things. So you kind of learn from each other. And this is just a message for all of you, like small business entrepreneurs. You have the information that somebody else can use. If you're up and coming, you probably know some of the new technology, you probably have new information, you probably know the new lingo that most of the older entrepreneurs, not old, but older people who've been in the business a long time, could use a little refresher. And then that's what we do on the mastermind. So a big hello to Sue Brook, the leader of our mastermind on Alignable. If you're not part of Alignable, join it. That's where it's kind of I always say that it's kind of like another LinkedIn type, like you connect with people, right?
Yeah.
So I want to start first of all because if you guys can notice, I'm gonna stand up so people can see it. Courage, strength, and hope, and it's some butterflies, and then if you can see the little paw right there, which is totally cool. These are from Courtney's collection, and she was very kind to send me some to wear on the show. Thank you, Courtney.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to.
Before we get into all that, how has your week going? How have you been?
It's been going good. It's been a pretty busy week here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's been going on?
So I've been doing like some Christmas designs for necklaces like this, and then I don't know if you can really see.
Yeah. Oh yeah, little snowflake.
Yeah, and then I just dropped some off at a store I sell them at actually in Santa Rosa, California, up here, where everything's local artists,
Nice.
and Yeah, and then I've just been working, and I recently signed up for DoorDash, so I've been like working on top of working on top of working.
Well, the cool thing is, I keep telling friends this, that if you are a creative, energetic, and me, workaholic,
Yeah,
the lockdown, the only thing the lockdown did for me professionally was just redirect the way I was putting my energy. So the things that I was doing out in the public live, I just found a way to reroute that energy and do something different. Does that make sense?
exactly. That's kind of like with the whole like I guess shelter in place for me. It's been the same thing. I've had more time to like focus on things that I want to do instead of not having like instead of being out doing other things and not having time for it. It's like, oh, now I have time for all of this. So it's actually been a really positive thing for me.
Um, well, you have a really interesting story, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's get it started. Courtney Frazier, tell us how you put it together.
Yeah, so I'll start with the actually with the t-shirt that you're wearing. So I have a muscle disease, spinal muscular atrophy type 3, and I was diagnosed with that like in my early 20s. And so I always had this idea like floating around in my head for a tattoo design that I would like. But I was never committed enough to get a tattoo. So I decided, hey, why don't I put this on a t-shirt and see what happens? So, like the design that you're wearing, strength, hope, and courage are all like things that I felt with going through the whole process of everything. And then the butterflies is kind of like they're starting to open up um, like and kind of grow with things. And then the colors, the orange and purple, are colors of QSMA, which is an organization that that helps people with spinal muscular atrophy. And then the pink and the blue are like kind of my favorite colors. So I kind of combine them all together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, Before I continue, I want to remind everybody watching us today that if you would like to ask a question or have a comment, feel free to join in the conversation. You have to go into the actual video, and that will get you connected. So, because I know a lot of people, let me make sure that I'm sending this to the right place. Because yeah, a lot of people make comments on the regular page and it will not show. So I'm gonna make sure that we're sharing this to the right places. Um, cool beans. Uh, can we start there with the spinal muscular dystrophy type 3 part?
Yeah.
How that's like how that how it came to be like, but how you came to find out that you had it and yeah, and all
Sure.
that. Sorry, I left that question mid answer. But yeah, could
Yeah.
you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually like I had symptoms and stuff my entire life, and I was basically like when I started walking, my mom noticed I walked on my toes, and she took me to like several different doctors and stuff that were all like, "Oh, nothing's wrong, she'll grow out of it." But then as I got older, I was still like falling all the time and like tripping over my own feet and like getting up from the ground and stuff was difficult for me. And what really did it was I worked at Target at the time on their like truck stocking team, and I was going to the gym almost every day after that. And like no matter what, I was never getting stronger. And like even after all this working out, and I was tired all the time. So I was like, huh, I wonder why, I'm not getting stronger. And then I remember walking around San Francisco with a couple friends one day, and I was just walking how I normally walk. And then some like random person came up to us and gave us directions to the emergency room, which I kind of laugh at it now, but then I was like, okay, I need to figure out what's going on here. So I went and like finally opened up with my doctor's office and was like, hey, like what's going on? And I wanted to know like if I had kids, if they'd ever be affected the same way. So they gave me the choice between physical therapy or diagnosis testing stuff. I don't remember exactly now. At the time, they were guessing that I had early onset ALS or
Wow.
multiple sclerosis. So anyway, I really wanted to know what was going on. So I chose like getting a diagnosis route. So they did a bunch of testing, which led to SMA finally after like a year.
Wow. Now, coming from health issues myself and having being an advocate for different things, um, I remember the not knowing, like knowing there's something wrong, but not having a name for it, and
Mhm.
how frustrating it is, and how like people didn't believe me all the time that something was wrong. Because if you're like, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second, like if you're falling and tripping, I'll be like, oh my god, she's just really clumsy. But that wasn't the case, right?
Exactly, yeah.
How did that feel for you?
For me, it was kind of a challenge, like growing up and stuff, just because I never knew. But I mean, it did affect me, but not, I guess not too. I feel like it helped me in a lot of
Okay.
ways. Yeah.
How can you explain about that a little more?
Sure. So like I noticed that there's like other people with SMA too, and that were diagnosed earlier on. But I've noticed like for me, I feel like if I had have been diagnosed earlier in my life instead of later in life, I might not be as strong as I am today. I might not have been like as motivated to keep exercising and working out and everything. And so I feel like that could have like played a huge role to like my strengths.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that's yeah, totally. Because I tell people about when I was diagnosed with AIDS, I was in the hospital, and um, this is back in 2000. I was losing my hair, and I lost a lot of muscle mass in my legs, and I couldn't walk very well. And excuse me, when the doctor gave me my diagnosis, typically was like, "Do you have any questions?" I'm like, "Yes." When will my hair grow back, and can I walk out of here? And the doctor's like, yeah, your hair will grow back, and yes, you can walk right here. But do you realize the diagnosis and what's happening? I'm like, yeah, medication, doctors, therapy, got it. Like, is my hair growing back, and am I getting my legs back? And he was like, I don't think you're taking this serious. I'm like, I don't think you're taking this serious. Like, it's my hair, buddy.
Oh,
But I look back at it now, and I think had I fallen into the victimhood place that he wanted me to go to, I wouldn't be the advocate that I am today. Because I would.
mhm.
Does that make sense to you?
Exactly. Yeah, I kind of feel that because, like, that's exactly when I was diagnosed, there were no treatments available or anything. And I did fall into that for about a year. And then I luckily had like really supportive friends and stuff and got out of that space. But yeah, there was basically, I was told that I wouldn't be able to walk by the time I was 30 years old, which I'll be 30 in 2 months. So I don't see that not happening. And yeah, and then it felt like they were trying to push me into like a downhill thing. But now, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that's exactly what a lot of people need to hear is that the diagnosis does not define you. It's 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 going to become a part of you, but not your whole identity. Like I never walk up to people like, "Hi, I'm HIV positive and I'm Daniel G. Garza." Like that's not the way you present yourself. Does that make sense?
Exactly like that. And sorry, get back. That's where I was going with that is that since I was diagnosed, there have been 3 FDA approved treatments that have come out since that timeline too, and just in the last few years.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
We'll come back to that and talk a little bit more because there's so much more to talk about
sure.
than this. For everybody watching, this is Put It Together Conversations. I'm your host, Daniel G. Garza, and my host today is entrepreneur and designer Courtney Frazier. And we're talking about her designs and her life and her health. Let's move on. What else do you want to share with us?
Yeah. So I guess I've told you a little bit about, well, I told you about how I started my t-shirts, and then that kind of led to last year I was in a job that I didn't like very much. So I mean, it was a good job. It wasn't for me. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I need to do something to like get out. So I started looking into doing vendor events, which I started doing at the beginning of this year. And I started with doing a dog show and then a cat show because I felt like it fit right along. Because I also like you said in the beginning, I'm a PetPro with Pawtree, which is like pet products and stuff. So I thought, hey, that would be a great way. And then I can combine my designs and things with that. And I had started making magnets too. And then I was looking for like something else I could do with it, and I was like, "Oh, I like necklaces, but then I'm allergic to like most metals and stuff. So if you noticed, I used cord for the necklace part because I can wear it that way. And I found charms to like kind of make them. I do make them, and so doing that, I went and did the dog shows and then the cat show, and then I started to go into like the farmers markets, and I was gonna do other things throughout the year, but of course.
How can we? Let's talk a little bit about the beginning because it is again like the pet industry. They, I don't have pets, but like I know from my friends, the pet industry, as far as accessories for pets and pet related accessories, there is a lot out there. There's a lot of competition. How did you overcome? Because was there a little bit of fear going into it, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I mainly, so as far as like coming across Pawtree goes, I mainly found it. My dog that I had, unfortunately, she passed away, but she was a super picky eater and won't eat her food. But I found Pawtree shortly after, and what really interested me in that is it's specifically for picky pets. Like they have pet food seasonings that you can put on their food, which was awesome. And then I love animals. I'm an animal person, so I didn't really think about competition or anything. I was like, hey, I like this. Let me try it out. And then it turned out to be like really well for me.
I think that's really interesting. I'm writing that down because one of the big things that they told me when I wanted to launch my own production company, they were like, "There's so many out there. Everybody's doing live stream. You've got to be so unique." Blah blah. And I thought, if I listen to everybody who's telling me no, I'm never going to do anything. It's.
Mhm.
Were there any naysayers, and how did you overcome that?
I guess there were a couple people that were like, oh, okay, yeah, let's see where you are in a year or so. And I kind of just like in one year out the other. Basically, I didn't really listen to what they were saying. I was like, oh, just wait, you'll see.
That's pretty cool. I think it's also interesting how you are finding your way around taking your own personal limitations, for instance, being allergic to certain metals, and saying, okay, that's not going to stop me. Let me find an alternative way. Have you always been that way?
I guess for the most part. Well, I don't know. That's a hard question. Yeah, I've never really thought about it. I guess, well, like I was saying, when I was first diagnosed, I had that down curve where I like listened and I was like, oh, this isn't, going like where I thought. But then I had like, all of my friends and everyone that I hang out with, I try to hang out with really positive people. So that kind of helped turn things around for me. And then, like I said, when I was diagnosed, like the doctors, I felt like really had like a negative vibe for it. So, and I also felt like completely alone because I didn't know, I had never heard of spinal muscular atrophy. And I didn't know of anyone else that had like gone through the same thing as me, which is actually why I started my YouTube channel, because I was like, maybe if I put it out there, maybe someone else like is going through the same thing. And I've actually found people, which has been really like amazing for me. This is like exactly why I started.
Now, when we first met, you came across very shy, and
I am, yeah.
you are. Now, is this your first interview?
Yes.
Oh wow, excellent. I tend to have a lot of first timers on my show, so thank you for choosing me to be your first interview. Um, let's talk about your YouTube because you'll be presenting videos, doing interviews. I'm gonna put you out there. You want to launch your own podcast too, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So how how because you're already doing it, but I'm going to post a question like you haven't. How do you plan to overcome your shyness to be able to put yourself out there?
What I did with as far as YouTube, I kind of just started recording myself, and then it made it less like less scary for me because I could go back through and like watch, and then if I hated it, like delete. Yeah, I found like just getting into like a different mindset, sort of like when I first met you and like connecting with you, I was like nervous to do that too and stuff, but then we did, and like I feel more comfortable, so I'm just like trying to get into like being more open to doing things that I normally wouldn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting because when I first started my podcast back in 2012, I was it was mostly all my friends. I conned all my friends to be on my show. Everybody had to be on my show, and some of them I bribed with tacos, but most of them just came on the show. Uh, then over time, because the show's gone through several evolutions over the years, uh, I started to go and connect with people that I was intimidated by, scared of, or completely opposite of. Because as my spirituality grew, uh, part of my growth was to confront fears in my life. And usually, if I watch somebody on the news or if I see somebody at a meeting or a networking thing, and I am completely intimidated by them, I'm like, I want to know why. I want to know why I'm scared of them. And a lot of them have become really good friends of mine, which is really interesting. So I'll put that as a little bit of a advice to you and anybody else who's watching who wants to launch a show. Confront this. It's the perfect venue to confront your fears because you're at the same level. You're just having a chit chat conversation. So
Perfect.
I hope
Yeah,
that helps.
thank
I
you.
hope that helps.
That helps a lot. Yeah.
So what is your podcast going to be about?
So it is about a fitness fitness and exercising with the muscle disease and modifications for different exercises, because there's still kind of a stigma, like if you have a muscle disease, like what's the point of working out, but I don't feel that way at all, so.
Um, I feel like everything's kind of like all of your aspects are connected to each other. Like there's
Yeah.
like every circle that you belong to is intertwined, and it comes down to your physical survival. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah.
Um, I want to make sure that we talk more. I'm trying to figure out where I wanted to go now, but I want to make sure that we talk more about your designs and stuff, and
Oh
where
yeah.
the inspiration comes from, so that people know where to get them, where to find you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So it started because of a muscle disease. That's where my beginning inspirations came from. And then as time went on, like pets, because I love pets. And then I also will do, like sometimes if I'm bored or whatever, I'll go on to see what's trending on Google. And if there's
Mm.
anything that I like, for example, there I'm a huge Giants fan, the baseball, and so like when they were in when was it? Like when they were playing and stuff going on there, and then I'm sorry, I know you're in Southern California, but I do not like the Dodgers. So like they were just in the World Series. So it was like one of my designs was I don't have the best memory right now. I
It's
have to
okay.
go and look exactly what it says, but it was basically something against them. And just yeah, just different things like that. And then they're available on I use T Public, which is an on-demand printing site. I can send you the link later. And then I actually post pretty much everything on my Instagram, which is just C and then the word heart underscore designs. And it has like I'll post like pretty much everything that I'm doing as far as designs and stuff go.
Yeah,
Does that
very
answer
awesome.
your
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah. Because I feel like there's more than just this design out there, right?
Yes, I'm wearing one too. I don't know if you can see believe.
Yes. Oh,
And
that's sweet.
yeah, I can talk about so I love like Christmas and stuff. And then I found a sweatshirt that said believe on it before, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I really like it. And then like I kind of outgrew it. So I was like, oh, that's so awesome. I love like the meaning of it or how I felt like it. And then I put like a little deer on it.
Nice.
And I thought it
Now,
was cute.
now, do you draw the stuff out? Do you use
Oh,
templates?
no, I use an app on my phone, Logo Pit usually.
Okay.
And then I also use Canva for the designs.
Oh, okay, Canva.
I wish I could draw. I tried that original design that you're wearing. I tried drawing it and it did not come out like that at all.
Now, I want you, we do have some folks watching. For those of you, we're halfway through our show. My guest today is Courtney Frazier, entrepreneur and designer. And you are watching Put It Together Conversations with Daniel G. Garza. There is a message here that says, I feel like a lot of people need to know about this because there's so much hate towards body, yet some people can't help it, and people don't understand this. And I think that's very true. What do you think about that?
But I'm sorry, can you read it again?
Sure, sure. I feel like a lot of people, and this is from Jazz Perales. I feel like a lot of people need to know about this because there's so much hate towards bodies, yet some people can't help it, and people don't understand this.
Yes, that is so true. There is. I feel like it comes down to a lot of people being insecure with themselves, so they project onto other people.
Yeah, that is such a that's so in line with what I do with spirituality because I have my own business on spiritual coaching, so it's about helping people connect with themselves and balance themselves
Mhm.
and center themselves, and it's always like the moment that you are at peace with yourself. Not for everybody watching. No, I am not perfect, and there are times when I get a little jealous and envious, and I'm a little judgmental, uh, but when I have control of myself and I can balance myself, I am not giving the haters in my circles or in my life that moment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I feel like if people are gonna hate, they're gonna hate, like they just are looking for something to hate on.
Yeah. Thank you, Jess, for that comment. We totally appreciate it. For everybody watching, yes, if you want to be part of the conversation, please just chime in. Remember, you have to go into the actual video. It has a black background in the thread, and that's how you can comment. If you comment on just the post, I won't be able to see it or read it. So make sure you do that. And any question you have, we will answer here live. Um, moving on. So struggles in business, bumps in the road. What were they, and how have you overcome them?
There's been a few for the longest time. I didn't know how to get started. So I just I was constantly researching. As this was coming from like t-shirts because like I said I had drawn the design out and it didn't look anything like that. So it was like I did lots and lots of research until I found something that I liked and then I just learned how to use it. And then the next step was finding a way, like, how can I get this even onto a t-shirt? So again, researching and researching. And I finally came across TeePublic, which is the site I normally use. I also use Zazzle, but then like to do shows and stuff. Again, I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? So it was just all research, and then there's been times where I've been unmotivated and then just trying to get myself back into like that mindset of like, hey, I can do this and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And because we can't have a conversation. Most of my conversations lately have included 2020 and the lockdown,
Oh yeah.
the lockdown. How I know for me, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning. I know for me in the beginning, going from having events and going out to see public and having my clients, and then all of a sudden they just like, hey, you can't go touch people anymore. You can't be around people anymore. That I had to find a creative way around it. Um,
Mhm.
Not being able to go to the farmers markets and sell your products and visit. Um, what was the biggest obstacle in that part, and how were you able to overcome it?
The biggest obstacle, I guess, was not getting seen as much. I feel like since I was kind of just starting and doing live, like in person events, it wasn't too bad for me. And then I also have my like my products, or at least some of them, at a store here in Santa Rosa, called Made Local Marketplace. But anyway, and so I just was like, okay, I'll bring more stuff to them and see like how that goes, and then trying to focus more on like taking pictures and putting them up on a website. I did create like a square website, which I'm still trying to figure out how to use for the most part, but yeah, I feel like it's going pretty good. Plus, I'm very introverted, so the like lockdown, if you want to call it that, kind of is great for me.
That's yeah. I'll talk more about that in just a second, but um, I think for a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people with their own designs or in a business like that, they're and I'm just guessing here. One of the hardest things could be making that connection with an outlet or a brick and mortar place that will sell your product. Can you tell the folks watching and listening how you approach that? Did you have a strategy? Did you have a plan?
I did the main thing was my one of my friends has some stuff in there. Actually, a couple of my friends have some stuff in there and told me about this place. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I went there. I was nervous like when I first went there and stuff, but they just had the application for me to fill out and go in because it's specifically for like anyone that wants to create stuff and sell it. But as far as other like stores and getting in places, I've been a little too nervous to approach that yet. So that would be a next step for me.
So if anybody's watching and has some ideas or some tips that we can use on how to approach, especially now, I feel like most everything is about approaching places and going, "Hey, can you sell this for me?" Consignment type stuff, and like say, "Can you sell this for me?" And because you can't be there anymore, like you,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
although there are like here in Laguna Beach, we do have our farmers market is back up and running. I haven't been, and I should because they have some really good tamales that I should go back and get. But it has to be hard when you're so used to being in charge of your product.
Mm.
That even though, like for instance, food and stuff, like you want to keep a quality control when you're selling versus letting somebody else sell yourself. Are there certain things that you, I guess, like the necklaces, is there a certain quality, like when you have, do you make them, do you have them made, like all that process?
I make them myself. So I ordered the chains
Yeah.
and I do jump rings.
Uh-huh.
So I do jump rings and then I order the charms and then I make them myself.
So you made this little pot thing?
Yes. Well, I ordered the charm, but then I put it together into a necklace.
Okay, got you. So,
Yeah.
because I was like, this is pretty cool. I was showing my boyfriend before we went on earlier. I'm like, oh, look what you sent me. I'm like, which again, it's interesting because I'm not a pet person, but I totally like dug the paw. I'm like, I'm totally digging this. I'm gonna put this on my, because for those of you like, you probably have seen a couple of times. I have my little beads and stones that I carry. This is my mom's ring that I carry with me. So I'm gonna put, this is going on there as my little
Oh, cool.
paw. Yeah. So it's gonna go on the charms. Um, what's coming up next for you? What else do you want to venture into?
So when I guess that's a multi-step question in a way. So when our farmers markets are opened back up, but in my day job I work with high risk people for COVID. So it was a personal choice to step away from that for now. But once things get back to normal, I guess I do plan to go back into doing events. And I feel like that's a really good step for me. Just getting out and getting like to talk to new people and stuff. Because being so shy, I feel like that definitely helps. And then also as far as YouTube and everything goes, it would be I I was mainly talking about spinal muscular atrophy and my experience with it, but now I'm moving into specifically fitness for anyone with a muscle disease and adapting exercises, like no matter how limited you may be, if you're if you're interested in trying to do something, I think there's always a way.
Right.
um and then as far as podcasting goes, I think my next step would be actually like connecting with people.
Now, for the people watching, do you already have stuff up on your YouTube? Are there already some interviews up there?
I don't have any interviews, but I have regular like videos that I've done.
Cool.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like we should put your interviewing to a test, like not to a test, but like to like launch you. Like I feel like putting together conversations should be part of your launch since this is your first interview, and throw you out there. So I'm gonna turn the microphone over to you for a second, and
Okay.
I'm gonna totally put you on the spot, very rudely. So if this was your show, what
Uh,
questions would you want to ask?
okay, I'd say, hi Daniel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So I know you have some health issues. Do you have any like struggles when it comes to exercise?
Yeah. So for people that don't know, I was also diagnosed with TB very early on in 2000, which the medications that you use for TB ruin your cartilages. They weaken it. And then chemo, although also for people who don't know, chemo also affects your cartilages. So I've been hit into my cartilages twice through two different medications, which gives me a lot of arthritis and gives me a lot of problems to move around. Usually my knees are the ones that go up first, and that's where my big problems are. So I always have an issue um, walking too much. My friends love to take me hiking and walking, and
Mhm.
I hate walking. Never mind running. So my biggest issue would be how to get my cardio without damaging my knees more.
Okay. Are you the type of person that goes to the gym and all, or?
Not in
Uh,
a long time. I used to go before I moved to California. So 2009 is the last time. 2008 is the last time I went to a gym.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
I know I can tell you I really like the exercise bike, but I could see how that could be challenging on the knees. Since COVID, I I have a trampoline that I put together and just bounce on it, and that's actually not too bad on your knees. And then if you could find an indoor swimming pool, I mean, outside in the summer is great too, but if you enjoy swimming, that's a great way to get cardio in.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah. I the only reason I don't like swimming is because I have my ostomy and I'm always a little uncomfortable.
Um,
Not because it would cause anything, it's just my own personal body issues. Although I was in Hawaii, I did buy this wrap that was black and it matched my bathing suit. So it's just mental things. It's just mental things. Um,
Totally understandable.
um, how, I don't want to turn the question around, but what advice would you have um, for people, because as Jazz brought up the attention about people's body issues and being picked on, bullied, ridiculed, whatever you want to say, um, what advice would you have for somebody who has body shame and doesn't want to go walk or run or join a gym?
um, for me personally, I feel like that was I still get that sometimes. Well, we can't go to the gym right now, but because like if I when I was going, I get like someone that'll stare at me and I'm like, this is awkward, first of all. But then I just for what I tend to do is I tend to bring a friend with me to exercise and then focus on my friend and not other people. It helps like take my mind off things. And then also just knowing that other people are they don't know anything about me. So
Yeah,
kind of like why why should I care about that? Not why should I care about them, but like why, if they're gonna be negative and down, why should I listen?
and that makes sense. I'm cutting into a different side of the conversation, but I think that for the longest time we have been exposed to what a body should look like.
Exactly.
And I'll put my circle into it. As a gay man, there is an image of what a perfectly chiseled gay man should look like. Which let me tell you, folks, this is not it. But I'm perfect for me. And like you were saying, folks may judge me for how I look, not realizing everything that my body has gone through. And that right now I am at the peak of where I should be. Like my numbers are good, everything's great. I just don't have a six pack and you know, thighs that'll crack nuts or anything. But what words of wisdom would you have for uh, people? I'm not even going to say just ladies, because men go through it too. What words of wisdom would you have for folks out there that want to get active again, but are too maybe they see that ideal body too far away? Does that make sense? Does the question make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something that helps me out is I keep track of everything that I do. So if I start at one point, and like write it down and then keep going as I'm going through, keep writing down like where I'm at. And then in 6 months, I'll look back and be like, oh my goodness, this is how far I've come. That's something that motivates me.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, for those of you watching, and we talk a lot about on this show, we talk a lot about health issues too because they are part of my reality. Um, but I did that. I get my notes from. God bless that everything's on computer now and everything's sent in. because all my doctor notes, all my results go into this online file, and I can just go back and track everything. But I just had my nutritionist appointment on, what's today? Saturday. Oh God. On Thursday. We just had our nutritionist appointment on Thursday, and my time with him ends next month. So we were doing a go back, and we realized that in January, my A1C, because I'm type 2 diabetic, my A1C was 10.3, and as of my last numbers, it was 7.4. And so I was like, wow, who knew that? I never thought I could do that, because I love to eat, and I have a sweet tooth, and I love it. But it is possible if you just keep track of yourself. I want to make we're 45 minutes into the show. Just a quick reminder, you are watching Put It Together Conversations podcast. My guest today is Courtney Frazier, entrepreneur and designer. And I want to say a big hello to Father Robert out of Florida, who watches every week. Thank you, Father, for watching. I always feel, and I kid, but I don't, because I was raised, I am Catholic, and I always feel like the show is not complete until Father Robert makes an appearance on my thread. And it's like, okay, now we're back on track. You've already given some advice to people on the health stuff. But I feel like there's so much more to you. Like there's the entrepreneur, there's the health issues, there's your shyness, but there's a fighter energy in you. Where did that? We already talked about I'm like, but how do you keep it going? I'm gonna play again. I love playing devil advocate, because that's how we get to the conversations. But like, there are so many, and people have said that about me. There's so many things stacked against you, that in a perfect world, they'd be like, oh, she's never going to make it. But here you are, striving and making it work, putting it together. So I think the words of advice that I'd like for you to share with people is, when there's no door, a wall, and a lot of bumps in front of you, how did Courtney Frazier keep going? How did she make it?
Um, that's a really good question. I've had times where like I am like down for like a week or two, and then like I go up, and like I said, hanging around positive people definitely helps, because I feel like we all kind of inspire each other in a way. And then also I listen to a lot of like meditations at night when I go to bed, so I feel like that helps. And then just knowing, like, I have all my goals written down, knowing where I want to be. So I feel like that helps inspire me to just like really keep going.
Very cool. If there is some young lady out there that is, whether she has the health issues or she's wanting to start her own little business, what is the first thing? Let's start business. If some young lady out there wants to start her own business, or some young guy, what would be the like, no, going back to what you did when you first started? What would be the one thing they should do first?
I'd say know where they want to go, and definitely write it down, because then you can look back on it, and then you can write like um, steps of how to get there, or like what you want to do to get there. Or at least that's what I do. Like little things, and break it all down, so you could have this huge dream and these huge goals and have no idea where like where you'll end up, but just do it anyway.
Pretty awesome. And if somebody, not just spinal muscular dystrophy type 3, but if somebody, atrophy,
Yeah.
atrophy. If somebody's newly diagnosed with anything out there, and they're giving them the diagnosis like they did to you, what would you tell them?
For me, what helped me a lot is just finding other people with the same thing going through it, and having support is great. So a great support system, not not taking everything that doctors say and like you want to take it into account, but not hanging on to everything. So I guess kind of like hear what they have to say, but know that it might not apply to your situation, or if it does, then it like like
Yeah.
like yeah.
So for everybody watching, just like I did when I was first diagnosed, listen to the advice, listen to the words, but sort it out. Make sure that what they're saying applies to you, because sometimes doctors can be a little general in their diagnoses and information. So make sure that it's right for you. Before we go, we're down to the last 10 minutes. Where can they find you? And how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. Yeah, on Instagram, anyone can send me a message. On my Facebook pages, I have, depending on if you want for pets, for designs, or for muscle disease, I have 3 different Facebook pages.
Wow.
And then also on YouTube, it's just youtube.com/Courtney Frazier. And I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else. I can't think of anywhere else right
Cool.
now.
Okay. We have more information coming in. I mean, more people on the thread. Kai Kalama, who's a really good friend of mine, says meditation is a lifesaver for sure. Yes, I totally agree on meditation. He says not hanging on to labels. Great advice. So yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Labels are beautiful when they're uplifting, and they're horrible when they're limiting. So pick your labels wisely. So I guess that would be a good question. If you had a label or a couple of labels to um, that would define Courtney Frazier, what labels would those be?
Oh, um, that is a great question. I guess for me, I try to stay positive, so positive, and I try to like kindness is like really important to me, and just trying to treat everyone not like equally in a way. Um, yeah, is that what you were asking?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, kindness is a good label to have. Like to be defined as for people to define you and say, hey, she's a kind person. And I'm going to say creative and hardworking. That I'm going to give you those labels. So because you are, and definitely an inspiration to some people out there that are looking for somebody that is trying to put it together in their lives, and putting something positive into the world. Because definitely, I dig this shirt, so I'm definitely going to wear it. And if you're wondering, people out there, what labels would I give myself? I would say that one of my labels would be passionate, because everything I do out of love. I may not have all the money in the world, but I have all the happiness in the world. So I try to be passionate about everything I do. And I think the second one, everybody who knows me closely, and especially Kai Kalama, I'm a workaholic, and I carry that title as a part of it. I believe in work. I like my body to feel tired. I like to be brain dead at the end of the day, and going to sleep and going, wow. My mom was my mom wouldn't punish me so much as I got older. She would put this question on me whenever I did something wrong. She's like, do you have anything to say? I'm like, nope, I'm good. And she's like, well, if you can put your head on the pillow tonight and dream peacefully, then you're good. And as soon as she would say, I'm like, I'm sorry, I did do that. I'm sorry, I spent all my money and whatever. And so for all of you out there, if at the end of the day you can put your head on your pillow and you've done good, then it's a good day. So good for you. Before we leave, I want to thank again my guest today, entrepreneur and designer Courtney Frazier. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you. I want to thank my producer for the podcast, Mr. Kevin Moyers out of Abnormal Entertainment, Hubris Management, Jose Reyes out of RPM Talent, Ms. Jennifer Sims, and my director, Mr. Christian Paul Ramirez. Thank you, all of you, for helping me put together this show. I want to thank all of the people that commented. If you're watching this video on the replay, please share it. Somebody out there might be able to use this information to put themselves together. Any last words before we go, Courtney?
I don't think so. Just thank you for having me, and yeah, it's been great.
Cool. And again, if you or somebody you know would like to be a guest on Put It Together, please send me a message at, it's going to be long, Daniel G. Garza at littlemexicanproductions.com, LILMESICAN productions.com. Daniel G. Garza at littlemexicanproductions.com. And it'll be here in the comments, so you guys can check it out. If you want to be on the show, if you have something to share, remember we do 2 shows on Saturdays normally. We have the noon show and we have the 5 o'clock show. So if you are available to join us at 5 o'clock, my guest today is hold on, because I didn't plan that on as I was speaking, and this is where you show how professional you should be. My guest this afternoon will be neuroscientist Rohan Dixit, who is going to come on the show. He was the winner of an award through Lifebulb, which I'm an ambassador for, and you will hear more about him. So if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast, the next show will be with Mr. Rohan Dixit, neuroscientist. So I'm gonna have to go brush up on some neuroscience terms so I can sound smarter. For now, again, I want to say a big hello and thank you to Sue Brooke out of the Mastermind group, out of Alignable, for putting the group together. I have found so many great people out of that group to put on my show. If you're not part of a mastermind group, I highly encourage you, especially if you're starting your business, if you're having a little slump in your business, if you're trying to see how your business is going to go from pre-COVID to post-COVID, because I guarantee you people hate the term, and I kind of grow out of it, the new normal, but I'm going to say that we are in the new normal now. This is the way things are being done now. So join a mastermind group. I guarantee you it's helped me, and it probably will help you. So for now, thank you so much, Courtney, for being on the show.
Thank you.
For Little Mexican Productions, I'm Daniel G. Garza saying, hey, put it together.